just started. Okay. So the being grateful, that feeling of gratefulness that you have for something that has happened that you wanted, the challenge for all of us is to be able to feel that same feeling of gratefulness for something we want that hasn't yet happened. So, that's the big challenge. And it's for all of us, we face that. It's to be able to go from, I'm so grateful this happened. It's not perfect, but I met this person, it led to that person, and now it's happening and it's got problems, but it's okay. But I'm in it and I'm so grateful. And having that feeling about finding an apartment, I'm so grateful. I know it hasn't happened yet, but I know it will happen. That's the challenge, is to
Very
move
hard.
from
It's
fear.
very hard.
Yes, to move from fear. But at least the choice is there and the choice is yours. So it is a choice. And even if you're faking it, it's better to fake it.
Really?
Even if you're not there vibrationally, it's great to have it at a true heart level where you really believe it. But even for now, to just be able to say, I'm afraid it's not going to happen, but I want to believe that it will happen. And I want to feel grateful that it is coming in the future, even though I don't feel it now. You know what I mean? So even though I'm afraid now, so you're planting both seeds, not just planting the seed of fear. You're also planting, I'm afraid, and you acknowledge it. And I want to trust that it will come. Not saying I trust it will happen, because you're not there yet. That's why you're afraid. But I'm afraid, but I want to trust and I want to believe that it's coming. And so you're just planting the seed, right? Even though it's not there yet, it's okay. Okay, so the going to New York with your son and your daughter, meeting them, and the meetings are with them or with other partners?
With them, but not basically. It's with 2 lawyers that I have in New York and with some brokers who are preparing reports, which will be ready before Tuesday, so we can start discussing what the possibilities are.
Okay, so tell me some of the possibilities.
There is a tenant for the whole building, and then they're keeping some money and they're giving me some money.
Okay.
And they are asking, and every year they have responsibility to do X thing. And last year was the big responsibility, a huge amount of money, $8 million, to do sprinklers in all the building. They had signed they would do it, but suddenly when they came to the year, they don't want to do it anymore.
Right.
And unfortunately, I don't have too many ways to force them. They can because they can say, well, we don't have the money, so goodbye, we're leaving. Okay. If they say goodbye, we're leaving, it's one possibility. I push them to do it and they say we're leaving. And then it will be very hard for me to find another tenant for the next 3 or 4 years, because the building is in an area which is being reconstructed. There's a lot of construction, tremendous, around us. So nobody will want to rent my building for a few years. I will have to take care of it myself, find somebody to manage it, but not a tenant.
Okay, well, you don't know that. You're not God, so you don't know.
No, but that's what
you believe that. You believe.
No, I don't even. I thought I would be able to find it, but my lawyer said for the next 4 years, obviously, you won't have a tenant. Nobody will want it. Everybody wants to see what's happening around it before they commit.
Okay, so so nobody will want it. Okay, and
nobody will want it not to go in as a tenant, but to rent the whole building and then manage it.
Okay, nobody will want to rent and manage the building.
Yes.
Is that right? Okay.
But then I would hire a manager myself. So it means more involvement for me.
Okay. So hire your own manager. I'm just going to write these down. Okay. So letting go. So letting go of the tenant is one option. Holding on to the tenant then is an option. And what does that one look like? If you hold on to the tenant,
giving up a lot of money. And they also
you will. Okay, you will have to pay for the sprinklers.
No, I won't.
Okay.
No. Oh, wait. I'm sorry. If the tenant leaves, and the first option, I will have to pay for the sprinklers.
Yes. Yeah.
But they have a 3 million security, so it's not 8 million. It's 5 million.
Okay.
But it's money I certainly do not have.
Yeah.
And I would have to get a mortgage on the building.
Okay.
Which I don't want to do all these things.
Okay. So
if they stay, in order for them to stay, they are asking things that I'm absolutely not ready to give in.
Okay.
One is 20 more years. They already have 20 years. They want 40 years, which I don't want to give them. And they're asking a 30% less money for the first year to give me 30% less. And the second year, another 10% less. And the third year, another 10% less. And then from that lower part, they will start going up again.
Okay.
3% a year.
Okay. And okay, so that's if they stay, that's what they want. That's what they're asking for if they stay. And then who would handle the sprinkler system?
If they stay, they would.
Okay. And they would do it. Okay. And then, or you let go of the tenant, or you tell them that.
Them and I tell them, do the sprinklers, and I'm not negotiating. 90% they're going to walk.
Of course, because people want to negotiate. Yeah.
Exactly.
So, and then the other one is that you let go of the tenant, but if you do that, nobody will want it. You will need to get a manager to look after it. You will, and then you would have to get a mortgage, you said, because of the money. You wouldn't be getting the money.
Because the sprinklers is something that the city of New York
for the
is making
sprinklers.
Yes.
Yeah. Okay. So the mortgage or the loan or whatever would be for the sprinklers.
So I'll be making less money.
No, I understand.
In any case, I'll be making less money.
Do you own the building right now?
Yes.
Okay, got it. Okay, so so when you say the brokers are going to and lawyers are going to put in front of you, they're going to prepare some options. It sounds like you already know some of these options. Are you thinking they're going to prepare options you're not aware of? Or are these?
I'm not really sure.
Okay.
One of the brokers has sort of prepared something.
Okay.
And what he prepared was, what is the value of the building today?
Uh-huh.
What would the value be if we want to sell it to a specific person who owns everything around us?
Okay.
And what is a logical rent to be getting, and that kind of thing.
Okay.
Yeah.
Because that's what I was wondering. I remember you telling me there was somebody who was interested, who owned everything around it, and he wasn't, at that time, wasn't willing to pay you what you wanted. So in the big picture, in the long-term vision for you, like long-term vision, 20, 30, 40 years from now, do you want to be owning this building?
Okay, let me tell you how it is. This building is a burden.
Yeah.
I don't like real estate.
Yeah.
I don't want to have a business in New York.
Mm-hmm.
However, if I sell this building, I'm not going into the psychological reasons. My father left it to me. I'm forgetting all that. But let's go money. Just talk about money.
Just money, just straight money.
50% goes to taxes as soon as I sell it.
Okay.
So I'm losing 50% of my inheritance.
Okay.
And then when my kids inherit it, another 50% goes to taxes too.
Okay.
And they divide it in two.
Yeah.
So suddenly from 100%, each kid gets like a 12%.
Okay.
Okay. So that's one. Basically, that's it.
Okay. So is the long-term vision then, would you say that the most important thing for you in the long-term vision is that your kids get a bigger inheritance? Is that the motivation?
Not anymore.
Okay. So that's important to know, because some people it is. Like for me, that is it's never been a motivation of mine to build in order for what my kids are going to get. It's just not my motivation.
Actually, for me, it was not to lose what my father gave me.
Okay, good.
More than for the kids to inherit.
Okay.
They're still going to inherit, but they're not going to inherit as much.
Yeah.
But that's not my biggest worry. My biggest worry was, Marinela, you didn't do a good job.
Okay,
that was
good.
it.
Okay, well,
But it's not anymore. It's not anymore.
Okay, good. Well, that's big. I mean, that's important, because if that was still hanging there, then that clouds all decisions. Even logical, good decisions would be clouded by that, right? Even if your broker came with an excellent option, if you were still holding on to, I'll look like a failure.
I gave you two options. The one was what they will do.
Yeah.
What they will do if what will we do if we sell or we don't sell. There is a third option.
Okay.
That I didn't realize until a few hours ago.
Mm-hmm.
I could hire a very, very good manager.
Mm-hmm.
So all the things they could leave, I would hire a very good manager. I would pay him a lot of money, so I would make much less money, but I would keep the building.
Okay.
I wouldn't have to pay the taxes. I would make less money a year, but I would have somebody who would be very capable in doing the job, rather than what I have now, which is an assistant who's asking me every day all the questions.
Yeah. And if you did, I just lost I can't hardly hear you for some reason. Just a sec.
Hello. 1, 2, 3.
Oh, there, no, you're back. There, I hear you now.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, yeah, it just cuts in and out. So if you hired a really, really good manager and you paid him fair money, okay, you're saying I pay him a lot of money. If
A
you
lot,
hired,
yeah,
if you hired a really good manager and you paid him a really fair amount that that manager agreed to, would that decrease the amount of time that you have to go back and forth to New York?
I would hope so.
And so that would be good. Okay.
I would still have the 3 countries, tax-wise, phone-wise, everything. But I wouldn't have to go as often, and I wouldn't have to work as much.
Okay. So right now, without hearing the other options that the brokers are giving you, what would you like to, how would you like to feel coming out of those meetings next week? How do you want to feel? Like, what do you know?
That's a very good question. I don't know.
Oh, okay, we're losing you again here. All right, what's going on?
1, 2, 3.
Yeah, it's funny. I've never had that happen. It just cuts in and out. And I sound the same to you?
Yes, absolutely the same.
Yeah. It's like there's something on your microphone or
I'm not moving.
you're on your laptop. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
Would you like me to go in again?
I prefer not to because we lose the recording, but let's, right now it sounds okay. So we'll see. Okay. So how would you like?
If I can tell you about what I thought about a month ago and what I'm thinking now.
Yes.
About a month ago, I would definitely not try to sell it until I got unless I got a specific high number that I had in my mind. Right now, this last month, I've done a lot of thinking and a lot of reevaluating my life. And I think I'm ready to sell. If I get a decent amount, obviously, I don't want to give it away. I'm ready to sell. I'm also ready to find a good manager, which I wasn't last year. Because I didn't want to leave control to anybody else.
Right. Okay.
But right now, I think I'm ready to do
that. Okay. And those are 2 separate options. One is sell and the other is keep it and get an excellent manager. Okay. And of those 2, if they were the only doors, if they were the only 2 doors available to you and you had to pick one, is there one that feels any better?
I think the manager.
Okay. And if you were selling?
Because if I sell, I would have to do something with the money. And I have no idea what to do with money. I've never been good at managing, at investing. So I would have to start, learning about investing, which might be interesting, but I'm not a numbers person.
Okay, you know what? I've never heard you mention that before. I think that's pretty strong file. I've never heard you mention that before. So because that if you sold it, you would now have a big chunk of cash, and you're worried about how well you would manage it or what you would do with that. So if you can find a good building manager, is there any part of you that believes that you can find a good money manager?
Part of me says, why shouldn't I find one?
Okay.
And the other parts say, one, real estate people in New York are usually sharks. They're not very nice people. They're usually not educated and not very nice. And the second thing is, how do I know if he's good or not? Just because somebody tells me? Do I trust him immediately? What's the process? I mean, there should be a process for me to start trusting him.
Right. No, it would be based on, I would think, I wouldn't hire somebody unless I spoke to other clients who have used that person and whose money has doubled or whatever it is. Okay, so
but New York is a big city. I can't see why I wouldn't find somebody.
Yeah, because is the fear bigger of you having to manage the money, or is it a bigger fear of that you'll be ripped off if somebody else manages the money? Which one is bigger?
Oh, managing the money or managing the building? I'm sorry.
Managing, if you sold the building.
Sell.
Yeah, if you sell and you have now this big chunk of money, which fear is bigger? Is it the fear of you having to figure out what to do with the money?
I would not know what to do. I would hire people to do it. Yes.
Okay, good.
Absolutely, yes.
Okay, good. So it would be.
I would divide the money in a few piles. I'll give it to a few people and ask them to manage it and see who would do better.
Okay, so I think we've talked about it before. The St. Ignatius way of discernment is where. So the first level, the first way of discerning is to make a list of pros and cons. And that's what your lawyer and your broker and you and your son and daughter will likely do. You will sit down, and after all the options are presented, you make a list of what are the pros, what are the cons. And sometimes it's so obvious, you know, you do that. And sometimes one list is so obvious, your kids support you in the decision and it's easy, right? So that's one way. However, you, your daughter, your broker, the lawyer, your kids, none of you have a crystal ball. None of you can see the future. You're only making the list based on what the reality of today and what you believe is going to be true based on trends in real estate or whatever. But nobody has a crystal ball. So that's the human way of making a decision. That's what we do in our mind, okay? On a more spiritual, from a more spiritual perspective, inviting the universe, God, or the Holy Spirit into the process with that. So you make your list of pros and cons, but then you pray on it and you spend time reflecting on it and you allow to see if you get a very clear insight that makes it easy to decide. And the way you would know is that once you make the decision, even though it's scary and even though there's lots of fear, there's a feeling of peace inside. So even though it's frightening or worrisome to think about what if I get a manager and they don't do a good job or whatever, but that inside, deep inside, there's a feeling of peace. That's when you know that you are operating not just based on your mind, but also your inner guidance. Okay, there should be a feeling of peace.
I'm not sure how I would do that.
Yeah.
What I'm trying to say is I'm not sure how, once I have all the solutions and I put them down, I'm not sure how to ask for guidance.
Yes. So the process you're going to do with your son, your daughter, and the lawyers and the broker, it's going to be organic. It's going to happen. You're going to have meetings, and in the process, I would hope you're going to make sure that all the pros and cons of each one are laid out, okay? And then each person will have a recommendation, or you can ask each person. So this is what we do. First, we think up here. Then we ask everybody else, what do you think? Well, what do you think? And what do you think? And then your daughter says this, your son says something else, the lawyer agrees with the daughter, the broker agrees with you, and you agree with your son. And, you know, sometimes it helps. 5 people out of 6 agree, and sometimes it's split in half, and then you're back to where you don't know, okay? That's the first step, though, is doing that, because it may be so evident. By next week, at the end of 3 days, it may be very evident. By hearing everything, you get real clarity and you get in your heart, you know, even though it's a bit scary and you worry, you still feel it here. The next step, though, if it's not clear, the next step is to not make a decision. It's better to not make a decision at all right away than to make a decision that you feel, you have a gut feeling, everybody agrees, and then you have a gut feeling it doesn't feel right. So what if everybody else agrees with a particular outcome, and for you, it's like, I don't know, it just doesn't feel right? That's where it becomes confusing. So then you don't make a decision. That's the best decision, is to not make a decision. Then when you say, I don't know how to do that, all it would be, and I can guide you through it, all it would be is just like you've done, talking to the universe or talking to God. Okay, everything is pointing to this decision, but I don't feel it in my heart. Can you give me more information? Can you give me a clear yes or no? Show me 3 signs. I want to see 3 clear signs that I should sell the business. Okay, now if you're driving and the car in front of you, the license plate says sell, and then you see something else, you know, like you can ask for signs. That is part of our spiritual, we're promised by God that we can ask for signs. Okay, so there are other things you can do if it's not totally clear. I hope it's totally clear to you next week and that you feel it.
I don't think next week we'll come up with options.
Okay.
But each option will have some sub-options.
Okay, so there's no decision. Okay.
I doubt it, because, for example, we could go back to them for more negotiating. That's so we don't know. And also, if they leave and they leave the building to us, then the buyer would be more motivated to buy.
Sure.
Because we would have to just buy me and not them.
Sure.
So there
So
are a lot of little
yes,
tricky
for
things,
sure.
but yeah, but I
Okay.
understand what you're saying. Yes.
Yeah, so that's good. So that means your hand is not forced right now to make a decision next week.
No,
Okay, perfect.
no,
So
no,
that's
no,
good. So
no, no, no.
that's, yeah, so that allows for the process to unfold. Every
Yeah.
time you get a bit more information and then you pray on it. That's going to be your job. Your job is not to go find the information. That's what the broker and the lawyer will do. Your job is to pray and always checking in. How does it feel? How does it feel? It's not up here, I'm scared. It's how does it feel inside here? So if I ask you right now, if I was to ask you right now, how does it feel in here, okay, at keeping the building, having an excellent manager, you don't have to go to New York as often, and you have somebody you trust. Does it feel really bad or okay?
Okay.
All right. How does it feel if you were able to sell the building, let's say to the guy who owns everything else around you, if you were to sell the building to him and you got a price that felt good, and even with 50% taxes, even with 50% inheritance tax, but you were left with some money to have managed and your kids would have some money in the future, how does that one feel? Not here, but in here. Good?
Scary.
Oh,
Scary.
okay. So that's what I mean, you see, by the
But scary might be the right thing, though, because it's a bigger thing to do.
might be, you still answered right away. You see, you didn't answer.
I started feeling it here. Scary, scary,
That's
scary.
right. That's what I'm saying. You see, so you have to at
But
some
one is
point,
change and the other is not change.
that's right. And you know that you're afraid
But
of
shall I tell you
change.
something, Monique? When I was married with my ex-husband, he was abusive. When he was abusive in the beginning, the minute I would say, oh my goodness, I'll divorce him, I can't stand him. And then he wouldn't be abusive for a week or two, and I would say, oh, maybe it was my imagination. I think I can handle it. He'll get better. The 10th or 12th, 20th time he was abusive, I wasn't just going down and up. I was going even further down, even more depressed. So let me come back to the real estate. 4.5 years ago, I moved to England and I started having 3 countries to deal with. And as soon as I moved in England, I started saying to Chris, especially, I remember, I cannot do this. It's bigger than me. I don't want to do this. I cannot bear this. 3 countries. And then after a while, things got a little smoother. And I said, oh, maybe I can do it. Come on, you can do that. You can do that. And then something else happened. And I went again, oh, I cannot do that. And now, this Christmas, I felt that if I continue to do this, I'm going to get sick. I really don't. I cannot. I should not do this to myself. I have no life in the 3 countries. What happens is you're constantly in another country where your heart is. I cannot have friends. I cannot have a lover. I cannot have a boyfriend. Everything is cut. How am I going to meet my friends? The friendships are not moving in any direction. You know how friendships develop, they become better, they become worse. You find other friends. I don't do that. I just go to Athens. I see my friends. When are you leaving? Okay, let's go out before you leave. I said, this is not a life. It's really, I don't want to do this. I need 2 countries. So if I sell, I will have 2 countries. The only way to have 2 countries is if I sell. If I have a manager, I will have a better life, but I will have 3 countries. But
So
I will have a better life.
you see how clear you are. You see, the thing is, you are clear. You're so clear. You're clearer than most of my clients. You're very clear. But I understand that the fear of what it means to live in 2 countries is what takes over. What I'm saying is you are clear right here. I will not live in 3 countries. I want to live in 2 countries is okay. Ideally, eventually 1, but for now
Yeah.
you want to go from
Yeah.
3 to 2.
Yeah.
You have total clarity, and when you're telling me that, it is not coming from your mind.
No, from
You're
my heart.
telling, it's absolutely from your inner being that you're telling me, I cannot do this. I will get sick. I can't keep doing this. So you're clear. Okay. So if you go into next week just with that clarity, okay, don't be attached to anything else. If you just go in with the clarity and you tell your kids and the lawyer and the
They know.
broker,
My kids know,
yeah,
by the way, and they totally support me.
yeah. So that whatever the outcome is of all these days of meetings, and a month from now, 2 months from now, whatever the outcome is, I must live in only 2 countries. Okay. Until I can get to one country, I'm willing to live in two countries. I'm not willing to live in three countries anymore. So that changes the options for the lawyer and the broker. Why are they going to come and present you all kinds of options about keeping the tenant and keeping things going the way it is?
Actually,
Why?
I just spoke with my assistant, who's a very wise woman, and she's a Harvard Law School graduate, and she's wonderful. And she said to me, "You never say this to the lawyer or to the broker, because then they will think this is a fire sale. You never tell them that you can't stand it anymore. You go in like a fighter. You don't say, I don't like coming in New York in February because it snows. You never do that in real estate. You go in as if you don't care, and you'll come in and you'll move to New York and you'll manage. Who cares? That's how you negotiate.
But inside of you, you have to be
Inside of me,
clear.
I know
You
that
have to be
3
clear.
countries I cannot do.
Yeah, you have to.
But if I have a good manager, I might not do 3 countries.
Yeah,
I might have them technically tax-wise, but I will not have to every day receive the emails.
That's right. So you have to be totally clear that, so you see, now you waver a bit. So it's 2 countries, but if I have a good manager, it's a 3rd country. You said to me, you want out of New York. You've said it. So now you're wavering again. Okay, so let me
because
ask.
it's 50% of my worldly
I understand
assets.
that. I know, I understand that. So that's what I'm saying is the clarity in here. So if you're not clear that you will only live in 2 countries, even if you don't tell them, that's fine. But if you yourself are not clear, then when you go in, just know that you don't have to make a decision right away, and they will present more information. And every time you choose or you look at an option seriously, you've got to keep checking in. Does this move me in the direction of what I want? And what I want eventually is to be living in 2 countries. You're the one who has to keep asking you for that. So if you don't want to involve them in that information, you don't want to tell them, that's fine. But then
I'll have to keep checking
you
with myself.
have to keep checking with yourself constantly and not asking everybody else, because everybody else will have an opinion. You have, because you said it to me so clearly, Marinela, you predicted your future. You said, if I keep doing this, I will get sick. You have predicted and laid down your future by saying that. So you know that.
I do.
Okay. Then
I cannot do this any longer. I
yeah,
cannot.
there you go. So go with that knowing in here. At least you have it. If you're not going to tell them, that's fine, but your kids know. You have that knowing, so that everything they present to you, you have to just in your own head, not to them, but you've got to keep asking yourself, when they present that to you, does this move me in the direction of what I want or not, right? And then when you come home and when you're back to being able to reflect and we can talk about it or whatever, it's always going to be here now, because you said it to me clearly from here. So you can't go back here. It's here. You can go back here, but you know now you're going to get sick, and it's not what you want. It's not going to allow you to have the future you want, the man that you want, the place you want to live. Everything is really affected by this in New York, and it is a gift. I mean, it's a beautiful blessing that you have it, because it is a source of revenue, and you did do right by your father. But I don't know that you're, well, the fact that you've let that go with your dad is good. That's good.
Yeah, I did.
Yeah,
I think if my dad could talk to me, he would tell me, give it up. If you don't want to give it up.
Yeah, exactly. And you can do all kinds of wonderful things with the money.
I'm also, because I'm the apartment search in Athens was such a traumatic thing for me, even though, and my mom's book was another very traumatic thing for me. And then my daughter had a terrible time when she came to Athens, and now she doesn't even want to come in the summer anymore.
Right.
I had a lot of things happening.
Yeah.
After the 4 meetings in New York, I'm looking for a spa or a place for a week. I need a vacation.
Good for you. Okay. Well, that's exciting. That would be the perfect, see, that will be not a busy vacation, but where there's quiet time, that will be a perfect place for you then to be just letting God speak to you and looking for some signs and asking for the information or the courage. It may be coming out of the next few weeks or whatever. You may know exactly which one feels right, but it doesn't mean you have the courage to say yes to it.
Yes.
It's 2 different things. So you might know here.
Yeah. I also feel that this would be also a good time to work on the apartment. Let go of the apartment and trying to find a solution that's more, with my soul rather than with my head.
Okay.
And which I don't know how to do yet, but I hope you'll help me do that.
Okay, and yeah, of course. And then this for the spa vacation, that's very exciting. So for the spa vacation, 7 days, 5 days?
I think 7, but I haven't found anything yet.
That's okay. That's okay. 7 days. Which country?
I think in America. I'll be in New York.
Okay.
So I'm thinking if I go for 7 days, then I could come back and have another meeting or 2 if I need to.
Good. What's your budget? Do you know how much you want to spend for those 7
I don't have
days?
a budget.
Okay. So does that mean you don't have a budget, meaning it can be whatever it is as long as it's the right place?
Whatever it is.
Okay.
Yes, as long as I like it. The only caveat would be I don't want to fly very far away from New York.
Don't want to fly. Okay.
Because California would be beautiful, but I don't want to be 5 more hours on a plane.
Sure. Okay. So do you want warm weather?
I would rather.
Okay. So you're going to go south?
I think so.
Okay. And so south to find warm weather, do you have to go where? Florida?
I think maybe even I was reading about a place in South Carolina or I don't remember where it was, but it sounded like something very nice. Wait, where was it? It was Tennessee, actually.
Okay.
I just read about it just before we started speaking. Tennessee.
Okay.
Tennessee, the weather wouldn't be tropical, but I don't need tropical. I mean, just decent weather.
Okay. And what is the feeling of the spa that you want? So do you want a feeling that it is like I've been to places where I walk in and I can tell they've created an environment where there's like a spiritual feel to it. I've gone to I've gone to different places and they have a different feeling. What's the feeling you want?
I know what it is. Nurturing.
Okay. So when you're doing your searching, make sure you include the words that you want, nurturing or
and spiritual, obviously, but nurturing is the most important one.
Yeah. So nurturing, quiet, peaceful, whatever those words are, make sure you search with that in mind. Yeah.
I went to a gorgeous place in Spain last year. The first time I ever went to a spa in Spain. It was gorgeous, but it wasn't in America. It was in Spain. It's not easy to go to. But anyway.
Okay. And so your idea of staying in the U.S. for this is because you think then you come back to New York, carry on with some more meetings. Okay. So you'll still be able to relax even though you know you're going into more meetings. Okay, great. I think that sounds wonderful. That's exactly the cycle, the chaos cycle that I have talked with you about where.
And I wasn't sure if it's only for something I want to do or also for this, but for what's happening now.
So with the chaos cycle, so it typically is reflective of your whole life, even though it can feel like just one part of your life is in chaos. For example, I would say for you, it's finding a place, your business in New York. I would say right now there's a lot of chaos and that's the phase you're in. However, you have also been moving into the creative phase, thinking about what you want in the future, but you fall back into chaos because of the fear. So you're kind of right in there. But the way to get out of chaos is to eliminate things that are on your plate that are making you feel overwhelmed. And so going to a quiet spa is a great way of doing that. You have to empty yourself. You have to get out of chaos. Some people physically clean closets, pack up boxes, give them away, clean their car, empty their desk, complete a project. It's that feeling when you finish something and it's like, there's space. So for you in here, you have to empty. It's so full.
You know what I've been doing this last 20 days? 20 days, since after Christmas. Every email that comes that's not necessary goes in garbage.
Yeah.
Before I would say, let me read that article. Let me save it. Now it's garbage. Yeah.
Yes.
I don't have space. I don't have the space. There's no space. There's no space.
That's it. So the only way out of chaos is to create space. And some people do it in their physical environment, but internally you have to. So a vacation, the Greek, it comes from the Greek word to vacate, right? To vacate, which is to empty.
It's not a Greek word, though.
It's no. I'm not saying the word is a Greek word. I'm saying the root vacation. What it means is to empty oneself. Okay. So as opposed to a holiday, which is to go and see a bunch of things and do a bunch of things.
Yes,
So
yes.
the idea is to empty yourself when you go to the spa, is to get rid of worries, tension, fears, whatever it is, so that there is space for God to speak to you and for a beautiful idea to come in, or a solution to the problem you're facing. Nothing can come in right now because you're full up, full, right? So so wanting to take a vacation is your soul's way of guiding you. That's exactly what you need to do. That's guidance from your soul. I can't keep doing this. I need to empty out. I need to empty. So it's the perfect thing to be doing. It really is. And then before you go on that, so you're wanting to go straight from the meetings, New York? Okay.
Well,
So
the last meeting is on Thursday.
mm-hmm.
And then Thursday lunch, I'm having last lunch with my kids before Nick goes away. And then Friday morning, I have an appointment with my teacher in New York, Peter, who's a wonderful, wonderful teacher. And then after that, I was thinking of leaving.
Good. Okay.
Valentine's. It's a
Okay.
good day not to be in New York too.
Okay.
Where everybody's a couple. Yeah.
Okay. And do you want to find the place on your own, or are you asking your assistant to look?
Actually, I looked on my own and I found a place that I thought sounds. I just saw it a few minutes ago, and I asked. There is a travel group that I belong to. It's like a little club. So I emailed them and asked them, "Can you help me? This is what I found, and could you help me book it?" Yeah.
Good.
Or maybe
Okay.
you can tell me of something else.
Good. Okay. And that trusting that the universe is showing you the right place and it's going to be perfect. Okay. And so then that would be the end of next week.
It's interesting that you said that, because I'm starting to do that. I found earlier today, I found another place that I had heard so much about. It's in Arizona. And I called them and they said, we have nothing that week. And I said, oh, it's not for me. Yeah. Rather than saying, oh, I'm so upset, I said, oh, I guess that's not for me, which was refreshing. Yeah.
Yes. Yeah, it is, because always asking, Gabby talks about that in the book, where she also asks for what she wants, but then she puts out to the universe, unless you've got something as good or better. So if Arizona is not available, that means there's something else that's as good or better.
Actually, one of my very good friends, she's an astrologer, just sent me an email with a talk of Oprah and Gabby. And I said to her, did I just tell you about Gabby? She said, no, but I know of her. So it was such a, boost. Okay, we're on the right.
Yeah, that's nice.
Here.
Yeah.
We're listening to the same things. I said, I'm listening to her. This is the second time I'm listening to the book.
Yeah, yeah, that's what I'm taking to Mexico when I go, is going to be some of her other books to listen to when I'm laying around. And I had never heard of her, I had never heard of Gabby either, but the right people drop in at the right time. Yeah. And her message is so clear to you.
And I wrote here, where is it? I wrote her 5, where is she? Oh, there she is. Her 5 rules for success, which I thought were very interesting. Wait, I'm waiting for it to open. So take your hands off the wheel and pray. Focus on what's thriving. Obstacles are detours in the right direction. And when you think you have surrendered, surrender some more.
Yes.
There's a 5th. I don't see the 5th. There's only 4. Anyway.
Yeah. Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, I wrote those down as well. Yeah, so good. It's so good. And it's just by listening to it over and over, which is what I do with these things too, is that it becomes, just by listening to it over and over, it helps us choose a different thought when we go into fear. Yeah. Yeah. Okay. So let me just do a quick check-in with you when it comes to your physical health. Okay, your physical body health, on a scale of 0 to 10, 0 being the worst you can imagine, 10 being as good as you feel it could be for you. Where would you place yourself?
An 8.
Okay. And I'll go back and look at what you have told me in the past. When we first did our call, we went through these.
Yeah.
What about emotional health?
4.
Okay. And what about spiritual health?
4.
4?
Yeah. 5.
5? In terms of your business, okay, just the whole New York, just let's put the whole New York thing right there on a scale of 0 to 10, 0 being the worst, 10 being the best you can imagine. Where would you place what you feel your energy is about your business?
4.
Okay. Relationships with your mom?
Oh dear. I don't know. I mean, there's no relationship when the other person is ill.
Yes, but you still have to.
Everything that comes out of her mouth hurts me.
I know.
But she's ill.
Okay.
So it's not a relationship.
So everything that comes out of her mouth, you allow it to hurt you. Do you feel the difference between everything she says hurts me or everything she says I allow to hurt me? You choose how it lands.
Not everything. It's not everything.
Okay,
but
so
things that hurt.
Yeah, you get hurt by them. So your relationship with your mom, 0 being the worst it's ever been, 10 being the best it's ever been, where would you place it?
4.
Okay, and your brother?
6.
Okay, and your sister?
8.
Okay. And your desire to have a man in your life?
7.
Okay, and is it right now, is right now the right time for you to get into a relationship?
Yeah.
Okay. Okay, finances on a scale of 0 to 10.
Well, if I wasn't terrified of what's going to happen, my finances are good as they are. If they could stay the same, I would be at a 9.
Okay.
But
So right now, as they are, it's a 9. The way they are right now, it's a 9.
Yeah.
But it has a price tag of your health. Okay.
Yes.
So coming out of not next week's meetings, but coming out of
this whole thing,
the whole thing of New York, okay, the whole thing of New York, whether it ends up being that you sell, whatever it is that it feels good here, what's your belief that you can get to a 8 or 9 out of 10 feeling financially when the decision is finally made?
An 8.
Okay, good. That's really good, Marinela. That's really good.
If I lose 50%,
that's really good. Okay. Yeah, it's really good.
Yeah.
Okay, and then fun and recreation in your life.
1.
Okay. Okay, so now if we look at this, so fun and recreation being the lowest, but in terms of priority of what you feel you want to put your attention to and prioritize, okay, is it your health, your business, your fun and recreation?
You mean right now?
Yeah, like where do you want to put your attention right now?
My health.
Okay.
My mental health, I'm sorry.
Okay, so emotional mental health.
Emotional mental health.
Okay, good. And so right now you said it's a 4 out of 10. What do you think it would take for your emotional and mental health to go from a 4 out of 10 to a 6 out of 10? What do you think would need to happen?
A week of vacation will get me to 6.
Okay.
Might get me to 7.
Okay. And what do you think would keep you at a 6 or a 7, though? After the vacation's over, what would keep you at a 6 or a 7?
Doing what we're doing.
Okay.
And meditating daily.
Okay. Okay. And what does meditation look like for you? What do you, is it a guided thing or do you just sit quiet? Do you pray?
In the morning, a guided meditation, sitting on my bed first thing in the morning.
Okay.
And then listening to it as I walk, reading something meditative, being, listening to Gabia again as I walk, or listening to a real music.
Yes.
Having background music, little things that remind me.
Okay, good. And the practice is so important. So I just had this talk with my sister the other day. We were talking about it because her and I listen to a lot of the same things. And if she hears something good, she tells me, and then I hear something good, I tell her. And so we do everything.
Same thing.
Yeah, we do everything together. And if we go to a workshop, we do it together. And one of the things that she realized last week is that she listens all the time. She always has something playing, and listening and learning and learning and learning. But she realized she's not actually doing the practice. Okay. And what I realized is that, and that was where we identified the difference between, is I realized that I am now spending more time, less time listening and more time in the practice. So if I listen to Gabby and she talks about surrender and then surrender some more, that's intellectual information. And here, the practice is when I feel stressed about, like, I'm doing a workshop and only 10 people have registered and I have room for 20 people and I'm feeling stressed about it. The practice is to actually then stop and surrender. It's going to be perfect, however it is. I would like to have 20 people, but whatever it is, it's going to be. I just have to trust. Like, the practice of it is so important, not just the learning, right? Yeah. Yeah. So that time on your vacation, that is the time to be listening and practicing. Listen to something and then practice it. If they talk about let go of the steering wheel, the practice is, okay, what does that look like for me? And where can I do that in small ways? Okay, I can let my assistant do this. I usually do it, but I'm going to let her do it. So it's little ways first, right? It's not let go of the steering wheel when it comes to this building in New York. You're not ready to do that. You're not just going to say to your broker and your lawyer and your kids, you guys decide, I'm going on vacation. You're not ready to do that. It's you, and you don't want to do that. You want to be involved in it. But the little places where you can let go and trust, even when you're at the spa, because I see that you're somebody who likes to have control in order to manage the fear. It's not that you like to have control just for the sake of controlling. I don't think you're a controlling person. I think you're a fearful person, and you control things to try and manage the fear. So anytime, especially when you're on vacation, but certainly next week, if you can, any little thing where you can say, you know what, that one I don't need to be involved in, you guys can decide, or I don't need to have any control in that. So not the big things about New York, but when you're on vacation, it could be as easy as looking at a menu. My
daughter said to me the other night, rather than going out the first night Nick is there, why don't we eat at the restaurant of the hotel? It wasn't my first choice, but I said, of course.
Yeah.
Perfect. We decided. Yeah.
That's right.
That's what you mean, right?
Yes.
I had somebody who suggested something. She said, the steak is great. Fine.
Yes. Yeah. Because you're so full right now.
Yeah.
That the ability to make a decision becomes more stressful. And the more that you say, yes, great, let's go to whatever restaurant you want, let's eat steak, whatever, as you do that, it is a practice. That is a practice. And then it becomes easier to do things that are a little bit more challenging. And then it becomes easier to do bigger and bigger and bigger things, right? So that's the practice. That's what I mean, is not just reading and hearing it and putting it in your mind that Gabby said this. It's then practicing doing it. Good. Well, I'm really excited for you that you listened to your soul.
Yeah, thank you. So what do I do about the apartment? How do I let it so the apartment can come to me without me becoming?
Yeah, I don't know that it can. You know what came in when you said to me, I cannot bear this. I cannot live in 3 countries. And I mean, I wrote down what you said with exclamation point, I cannot bear this. And what came in as soon as you said it, what dropped in was, what dropped in was, you can't find an apartment while there's so much. So I would say, when it comes to the apartment, right now, let it go for next week and the week of vacation.
You know what?
2
It's
weeks.
interesting that my teacher in New York said the same thing.
Yeah.
You cannot manifest an apartment right now.
Yeah,
you are in so much fear about what's happening in your life that no apartment is showing.
Yeah, you're in chaos. Yes. Yeah. So when you're in chaos, your job while you're in chaos is to complete or release anything you can that will give you some breathing space. Okay. So I don't know that it's the time to be looking for an apartment until you find a decision in New York that feels good in here. It just feels like there's a divine order to things. And we try and manage that, and we try and put it so that we feel better. We want this to happen first, and then when this happens, I'll feel better and I can deal with that. But that's not divine order. That's you trying to control the divine. And I think the universe is showing you that it's just not, just let it go right now. It's not happening. So too much energy. Yeah.
Well, there's nothing I can do while I'm here. If they send me something, I'll open the email, but this.
Yeah, exactly. And when you're on vacation, after 4 days there, you might get an email and it's like, oh my gosh, there's like needs to be an opening. And I don't think there's too much going on. Yeah. 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 I think this is really good. Really good. I think you're doing great.
Okay, thank you. Thank you. It was a hard month, but it usually is before something good happens.
Well, it's when you're in the chaos, when you're in chaos, you look at everything through a lens that's like this. It's like fog, and you're trying to see things clearly through a fog. But as you start to eliminate one thing at a time, let people take over certain things, make a decision on something, complete something, what happens is that it starts to clear. And now you're seeing things differently. It's not that you may still not have an apartment, but it looks different than looking at it like this than it does like this, right? So the only thing to do right now is to let your soul guide you out of chaos, which it's doing by telling you need to go on vacation, by telling you keep doing this, you're going to get sick. Your soul is actually guiding you. You just need to learn to tune in to what your soul is. Yeah.
By the way, just because you know her also, Krisa has been more than an angel. She has been a mother, a sister, an angel, angel. This month and a half has been a turbulent month. She offered to stay more. She's amazing. She's just, her heart is so big, and her dedication to what she's doing is so tremendous. I can't say it to anybody because people don't know her. And my sister is jealous if I tell her about Krista. She's jealous of her. So nobody really knows what she does. She is unbelievable.
Yeah.
She not only she does everything she needs to do, but she encouraged me. Do you know she pushes my back if I don't sit correctly to remind me to sit correctly on my chair so my back doesn't hurt? It's amazing. Yeah.
Well, she has the sacred gift.
Share it with anybody else. Yes.
Yeah. Well, I do. I love that story because she has the sacred gift of assistance, and without giving any names, that is exactly how I will describe it when I talk about that gift on Wednesday. That's exactly what you're saying. I've had people say to me that when they have someone in their life who has the gift of assistance, that person is dedicated not just to getting things done. They're dedicated to the person. She's dedicated to you, and then she will do whatever
she
task.
reminds me to sit straight. She checks to see if I changed my position, and if I didn't, she says, "No, more."
Yeah.
I mean, it's amazing. It's amazing.
Yes. Because her dedication is to
you. If I don't exercise, she's on top of me to exercise.
Yeah.
And please wear that nice dress that you were wearing the other day. I mean, she's like my mother.
Yes. That's what I talked to. I had one lady in my class who has been a personal assistant to a doctor for 35 years, if you can imagine. And she said to me, "Oh, I tell him what to wear. Sometimes I have to take him and comb his hair before he goes and meets a patient." Like she said, and that's what she said. She goes, "Oh, sometimes I think I'm his mother."
Actually, Oprah said something interesting, that she has an assistant who that woman, when she was 7, all she dreamed of having for Christmas is a little file cabinet.
Yes.
And she loved filing little things.
Yes.
And she is perfect for being Oprah's assistant.
Yes. That was my daughter. My daughter didn't want to play anything except play secretary. She always wanted, and all my leftover envelopes, stamps, files, drawers, and I gave her one of her own. Yeah, and that's the kind of work she's super organizes anybody. Yeah, and now she works for veterinarians, and she organizes them.
Oh wow.
Yeah. Okay. So how do you feel?
Thank you. Good.
Yeah, it's good. Yeah, you're doing great. And so knowing you've got that, let me know once you book the place. I want to look at it. Yeah.
I will. Yes.
That would be great.
Let's be in communication again. So because I don't know what next week is going to look like. Yeah. So I'll let you know.
Yeah, you let me know. You're in London now for all of this week, and you leave for New York.
Sunday, I'm flying to New York.
Okay, and I'm in Toronto all this week, and then I'm back next week. Yeah.
Okay. Have a wonderful time in Toronto.
Thank you.
We'll talk again.
Okay, thanks.
Thank you so much.
Okay,
Bye.
bye-bye.
Thanks.